Well, Halloween has officially turned into the Thanksgiving season. So, Michael Myers, it's time to stop using that knife to kill people and start using it to carve a turkey. Welcome back, little turtle cuties. It's turtle time again.
Cute. That's a better use of that knife.
Could you imagine? He has to stop doing the murder and everything horrible he does with it, and now because the season is completely changed, it goes into being more festive towards Thanksgiving dinner.
Do you think he has Freddy over and Freddy helps him cut it with his whatever gardening shear hands?
That would be so cute. That would be so cute if Freddie had invited people over and he can't cut the turkey properly because of his fingers. He doesn't want to get him filthy or whatever. And then all of a sudden, ding dong, Michael Myers shows up and he says, I've got the perfect thing to cut that turkey. And they have this beautiful moment. That's exactly the kind of spirit I was thinking of.
They made, what did they say? They worked it out in the remix since Freddy versus Jason.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah, you'd have to throw Jason in there too in some way. I forget what Jason uses to kill. Also a big knife, I think. Yeah. So you could just switch that Michael Myers analogy and just imagine Jason coming over and carving the turkey with Freddy. But anyway, I mean, that is sort of emblematic of what's going on with you and I. I mean, we're no longer in that spooky, scary season. That shit is kind of in the past, at least, for me personally. And I'm ready to move towards one of my favorite holidays of the year, probably top two for me, Thanksgiving. Doesn't require anything of you except to be thankful to eat and to be thankful for everything in your life. And most people can acknowledge that being thankful for stuff is good.
The attitude of gratitude.
Yes, totally. Totally. So I love the spirit of Thanksgiving. I'm so excited that we're creeping our way away from that scary shit that you and I were talking about, and we're going face first towards Thanksgiving.
Yes, I mean, I guess we're recording earlier than usual, but today for us is Halloween, but these are the final hours.
Yeah, right. I was just gonna say I didn't want to peek behind the curtain too much because it's scary behind the curtain. Halloween stuff is back there, but you and I will transition from Halloween to Thanksgiving during the recording of this episode. So,
Exactly.
and I also want to say programming note that Amy and I, this is going to come out on beautiful, obviously Thanksgiving season, November 1st, but we're also going to be having another episode later. I just want to say that up front because on Friday we're also going to tackle OC and catch up because we're in the finale season, or we're in the we missed last week's OC and we have the finale to look forward to. So you're going to get 2 episodes of Turtle Time in one day. I mean, what could be more, sort of in the Thanksgiving spirit of giving a bunch of stuff like that, like double the stuff.
It's true. And I'm making Riley do it in the morning so that I can go to the Dodger parade and celebrate our fair city being world champs.
Yes. What a great thing that you brought up last night for us, but everyone will know this. Everybody's in the throes of this. The Dodgers won the World Series. It was a beautiful, wonderful game. I've never seen anything like it. I don't watch baseball very often, but it was a great game.
Twists and turns.
Yes, that was great. I saw that you were showing stories or making stories. I looked at them. It looked like the most celebratory atmosphere I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we walked down to Echo Park on Sunset, and we walked probably like 30 minutes after the game, so it was still kind of like early days of people just driving down there. And it was fun. It was rowdy. There were fireworks. People were dancing on their cars and stuff. But apparently, after we left, people started acting a fool and lighting cars on fire and stuff.
Oh my goodness! I didn't see any of that. I did see on TMZ they said it was said this one man blew his hand off from a firework, and they showed that it was just this fiery stump. Yeah, so I was like, oh boy! So it turned into sort of anarchy out there.
Apparently, because when we were there, like the firemen, we walked past a fire station. The firemen were waving Dodger flags, like they were part of the party. At one point, a fire engine was cruising down Sunset, and I was like, "Oh, are they like going to solve something?" And I think they were just like kind of chilling. Like they were
Doing
just
donuts.
there. Yeah, spinning
I
around.
saw him spinning around doing donuts. I saw a photo of a guy in full. He was naked, but except with Dodger makeup, and he was standing on top of an overturned cop car, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, when we walked all the way down to the stadium, there was a SWAT presence, and that's when we turned around. We're
Wow.
like, time to go.
Wow. Well, scary, but sometimes celebrations have to get scary. It's
It's
just
true. I also, I just saw this online, and I'm disappointed in myself for not realizing this sooner. As a viewer of Don't Be Tardy, the whole time it was on, did you know that is his name Michael Kopech, the Dodgers pitcher Kopech, dated Brielle Bierman for like 2 years?
no way. Michael Kopech, you said a pitcher for the Dodgers?
Yeah. He,
Dated Brielle.
yeah, like I remember her dating I think she maybe dated more than one baseball player. I remember she was like with someone in like the minor leagues at one point, and I don't know if that was him or if it was a different guy. But yeah, I didn't recognize him. He has a huge beard, so I guess I will give myself credit there that I didn't recognize him because he looks different. But yeah, I saw a TikTok where someone was like, he dated Brielle, and I was like, "What? That's him?"
Wow. That's amazing. Everything comes back to Bravo. That
It's
is
true.
that is so great. Well, good. Well, congrats to the Dodgers on a wonderful win. Freddie Freeman got that coveted MVP award.
Well deserved.
Yeah, that was great. Well, good. Anything before we get into really what we want to talk about? Any news that was bubbling up on your radar this week?
There wasn't too much crazy stuff. I feel like all that we were texting about was they have dropped a few trailers this week, which means we're about to hit a new era. There's about to be a lot of stuff to watch.
Yes, I saw that too. One thing that I did see was that there was some reports that were bubbling up saying that Bravo is trying to downgrade Lisa Vanderpump on Vanderpump Rules. Did you hear that at all?
Yeah.
There's this person named, we talked about her already. She wrote an unofficial trivia book for Vanderpump Rules, and she's leaking to the U.S. Sun. Not leaking, I guess, if you're just a source. She's telling the U.S. Sun all this behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know who her source is. She was the one who said that the contracts are the thing that's holding everything up, that they're trying to demote people to friend ofs. And then the newest thing that she said is that Lisa Vanderpump, they want to downgrade her basically to a friend of, so they don't have to pay Lisa this season either, because
Yeah.
it's becoming a little harder to integrate Lisa into the storylines of Vanderpump Rules, as we know. I mean, we talk about that a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, that seems to make logical sense. And plus she gets paid as the like EP or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm sure she won't like that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And then I think Sheena and Lala tried to throw cold water on this fire on their podcast. They said, it's not about money. We're not doing that or something. They wanted to tamp down these rumors, but if that's not what's going on, then what the hell is going on?
Right. Yeah. I saw Ariana's doing a role or a cameo on some show. Was it called Will Trent? Was that the show?
Yeah, I've never heard of that in my life. It was like Ariana is going to be Will Trent on season 3 of Will Trent, and I was like, first of all, I was like, who the hell is Will Trent, and what is that?
I think it's like based on a book. It's like a spin-off of my sister and I think my mom read these books. It's Karen Slaughter
Oh,
writes them. Do you know who that
whoa,
is?
is that a
Crazy name,
alias?
right?
Is that an alias? You think?
If it's not, that's awesome because she writes
Yeah.
about crime.
Whoa, that is so cool. Did you see? And speaking of that, okay, so that kind of ties up Ariana. I mean, if they don't lock this contract in for
Right.
season 12, Ariana's going to be in Will Trent season 4, Love Island again next season. Like,
Yeah.
something is. No matter what anyone tries to say about what's going on, something is wrong. Something is wrong, right? I mean, this
Rotten.
is way past what we were thinking about. And then speaking of side projects, did you see that Tom Sandoval, he's in My Nanny is a Murderer?
Oh, right. Is that what it's called?
I think let me look. I think it's called My Nanny is a Murderer. My Nanny is a Murderer. Let me hold on one second.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of scary. It came out on Halloween
Yeah, I think
day.
I saw the poster for that. Was that on like Lifetime or something else?
I think it's on Peacock right now. Anybody can watch it.
Oh, see, that's smart of Peacock. They should just be churning out crappy movies with all of these people.
I think so too. I absolutely think. I still think that there is a real project that would light the world on fire if like the cast of Southern Charm were in like a murder mystery scary movie where they all went to like a cabin and one of the, you know what I mean? Like it's a fictionalized version of their life, but they all go to a cabin and a murder happens or something like that.
Yeah. They could always, have you been seeing those AI videos of housewives? Like where they
No.
look really scary?
No.
You
What is
haven't?
that?
I'm
No.
surprised I never sent you. People are like using AI prompts to make these really scary looking housewives videos. I definitely have one. Let me just pull it up for you because it looks so fucked up.
Is it like
Like
Dorinda eating the head off a chicken? Oh,
this one,
oh
I
my.
think is like Salt Lake City housewives, but make it 80s dark fantasy.
Oh, that is so cool. Wow. Okay, so for the listeners, Amy is showing me this beautiful video of Salt Lake City, but it has this AI kind of tint to it. I can't hear the music or anything, but it looks very well done. Wow, AI is really. You could soon we're going to be able to make that movie I'm talking about, a Southern Charm murder
Yeah.
mystery party with just AI tools.
Yeah, maybe we can do that prompt and see what comes out, even though I know AI uses a lot of water, but maybe just once.
AI uses what?
A lot of water.
It does?
Like ChatGPT and stuff, it uses so much water. You haven't heard
It,
about this?
it uses water? Why?
It it requires so much computing power that they have to use a shit ton of water to cool down the computers. And they like have done calculations where if we are moving forward as using this sort of intelligence, that it's gonna use so much water.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to check in on this after. So, when the AI is used, the water vats are being unleashed to cool down the computing systems around the country because they're processing those type of videos.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's maybe we'll wait on doing that completely generated AI movie involving Bravo stars until they figure out how to tamp down that water usage.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you think it's just coming out of thin air. Sounds great, but apparently it uses a huge amount of energy and resources.
Wow. So think about that.
Unfortunately.
Every time you're plugging in something like Grimace, uh, Grimace eating, what would Grimace do differently than he's
Grimace on a
accustomed to?
stripper pole.
Grimace on a stripper pole, or why are they both Ronald McDonald driving kids to school in a school bus? Please, for the love of God, think about how much watering down the computer systems need to operate those type of images. I see so much AI imagery that I'm worried.
I know. I keep getting really nasty ones on like, I mean, Instagram is just absolute trash anyways, but it'll be like a nasty little like pot of like cookie dough, and then the cookie dough starts writhing, and then it's like puppies. And I'm like, I don't want this.
You see that on Instagram?
I think that my IG algorithm is underserved because I don't use it very much. I spend all of my time on TikTok. So I guess joke's on me.
I only get like the people I follow in their photos.
Like on the Discover.
Oh, okay, okay. My Discovery, I don't want to look there. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Great. Well, yeah, not a lot of news, as you and I just proved, but we did. Like you said before, you said it's trailer season.
Yeah.
Bravo threw out 3 trailers for you and I to parse through and pick through, and the first one I thought maybe would be worth talking about is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills trailer.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yes, I thought it looked great too. I am extremely, comforted watching the cast of Beverly Hills. I think it's a great cast. I think that the most shocking thing to me is how little we know about the Dorit and PK fallout. The fact that this pillar of a relationship, one of the sort of love stories of all time has toppled, and we don't think about it at all. We don't hear about it. Who knows what's going on? Like, we're going to get to see immediately the aftermath of Dorit and PK and that dynasty, shattering.
Yeah, I like forgot that it was confirmed. Like I was like, oh yeah, they straight up announced that.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Maybe you and I weren't thinking about it enough or talking about it enough, but it feels like, I don't know, that seems like a big deal to me. I mean, I think about Dorit and PK a lot, and it seems like it's official. PK says we're going to need to stop talking 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And Dorit looks like she's shocked by that. And Kyle and Dorit, one of the most notable things for me is that it seems like Kyle and Dorit are like, they were sort of bad at the reunion. Dorit said that, I don't know, Kyle said not to talk about something at the reunion, and Dorit thought that was a horrible ethical thing that they shouldn't have brought into their friendships. But it looks like that fallout has continued between Kyle and Dorit. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, and still Sutton versus Kyle as well. It does seem like the direction of the trailer is that Kyle is going to go through it.
Yes. Yeah, and then so in addition to the fallout of PK and Dorit is Kyle and Mauricio, and everyone has already found out what Mauricio has been doing when he goes on those trips to Greece and stuff, because this is in a time where Mauricio was flying to Mykonos and then kissing other people while they were still trying to allude to the fact that maybe Kyle and Mauricio might get back together. But,
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's still fully like participating and stuff. Like they have scenes together, and it looks like it's gonna be sad. And I don't know. I'm almost kind of like, I don't really want to watch another season of everyone questioning what Kyle is up to.
Yeah, I don't think so. They didn't mention Morgan Wade, right? I think they got over Morgan Wade. I think they didn't get anything. They didn't get any juice from that, trying to squeeze it. And I think that the Kyle and Mauricio fallout and the Dorit and PK stuff will be enough to where they don't need to rely on the Morgan Wade mystery. Speaking of Halloween ending, I don't know if Beverly Hills got this note. I think this, it premiered on Halloween Day yesterday, but Jennifer Tilly is starring. It looks like she's a full-blown friend of, even more prominent than last season. She's in the start of it where it says, like, count our diamonds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then Jennifer Tilly goes into her home. She's inviting someone to her home, and she goes, "Don't look over there. That's the bride of Chucky." Did you see that part?
I love that. Yeah, I am hot off of, because I can't not bring it up. She was Cinematrix a couple days ago, and I had to rely on Chucky mostly, but I did pull for Oscar nominated, I think, Bullets Over Broadway.
Oh, that's
the Woody Allen classic.
That's amazing. I remember a couple days ago there was Woody Allen classics as one of the categories.
That, unfortunately.
2 things about Jennifer Tilly. What was I going to say? Oh, you could have used Oscar nominated. You could have used Liar Liar.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember? Jim Carrey has to defend. Whoa, Jennifer Tilly is.
Is she the wife?
No, she's the wife. She's the client. Jim Carrey. Oh, let me explain Liar Liar for 1 second. He is defending the indefensible, Jennifer Tilly. She cheated all over town on this rich man, and she's suing him because she wants to get half of his money. But in a normal court of law, I think how many times you cheat, they say, Your Honor, stop. They've been cheating in this relationship. But Jim Carrey is such a good liar that he could get anybody off for doing anything. He's kind of like Better Call Saul, Saul Goodman. But then when his little boy wishes that his daddy wouldn't lie anymore, he can't use any of those skills to lie for his client.
I see. So the plot, if I recall, he is no longer able to lie. So he's brutally honest, and then comedy ensues.
Yes. You're making me laugh just thinking about it. Yes, he says he cannot lie, and he's a classic liar. He's a lawyer, and he lies all the time. I think Liar Liar might hold up. So okay. If everybody's transitioning out of scary movies, this is a little scary morally, because you're like, how can this guy lie like this? But if you want to get sort of, what's that called when you want to slowly get out of the scary season? This might be the perfect film for you.
Okay, good to know.
last Jennifer Tilly thing, but you and I talked about this, but we said that we were both watching Psycho 2, famously, which has Jennifer
Yes.
Tilly's sister in it,
Sister.
which I just,
If we ever meet her, should we have Jennifer Tilly on Turtle Time and be like, only ask her about Psycho 2? And she'll be like, that was my sister. And we're like, we know it's awesome.
yeah, it's so awesome. What was it like? What was she telling you about her time with
In
Norman Bates?
1982 or whatever.
That's
She
great.
looks a lot like you. Did you know that?
I would ask her, we would throw in, I mean, of course it would be very Psycho 2 centric, but I would also throw in, like, what was it like being Bride of Chucky? Did Chucky treat you bad on set? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Riley doesn't even like Chucky, just so you
I,
know.
I absolutely despise Chucky, but I would never tell Jennifer Tilly that. I would just be like, he must have been so much better off camera, or hopefully he wasn't method.
I'm not going to show you the costume I ordered on Amazon for Norman then.
Is it what? Is it Bride of Chucky? Tiffany?
It's Chucky. I haven't gotten it on him yet because last night he wasn't into it, but it's one of those funny ones that makes it look like they're running on two legs like a human.
Oh, and it's little Chucky's overalls?
Yeah, and it's like it looks like he's wearing the overalls and then there's like a little knife, so when they run it looks like they're chasing you with a knife.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. So he's wearing that on last night on October 31st?
Exactly. I'll
Wow.
try and get a pic and post it.
You can send that to me. I'll just look at it with one eye shut, if you don't mind.
It is scary. And also, it comes with obviously the red wig, which we'll see how that looks, but I was thinking I could have him wear it on election night too, as like a little Trump wig.
Oh, so if you wanted him, you would just, are you saying you would just comb that Chucky doll's hair a little bit and then he could still wear the overalls, right?
Maybe I'll get him a red tie. He could just wear a red tie and the red hair.
That is amazing. Well, when November 5th comes around, let's look forward to that and let's take a photo if you're able to transform little Chucky into Donald Trump.
Exactly.
One last thing. I liked that Kyle brought up the saying that I never think about anymore to Dorit. She goes, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so it's time to listen twice as much as you speak. And Dorit said, I'm done fucking listening to you, Kyle, or whatever she said.
Yeah, I feel like there's also another part when when Garcelle demands that Dorit listen, and I feel like that keeps coming up over and over again. And I'm like, really? It's like, I guess I know what they're talking about, but there really must be something even beyond what we are shown about her not listening.
There are, because I don't think that I think they have to edit around every time Dorit speaks and cut it as much as possible, and then every once in a while they give the long edit, but that must be always what she's doing, but they just can't incorporate her speaking like that at all times, in the final edit. So yeah, it's definitely a part of, I guess, Dorit's character. And then Sutton said, I kind of like Sutton, or I love Sutton as a cast member, but she goes, I will no longer bow down to the altar of Kyle Richards. I take that to mean, Kyle, center diamond holder, why don't you move aside, because I'm quite possibly becoming the most popular, powerful cast member on this show.
It's interesting. I mean, I think people really want to come for her crown, Kyle. And I don't know. It's like, I still don't know if the dynamic of this group is great. Like, so Jennifer Tilly will give Sutton more power because that's her BFF.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's another new woman, which I don't know who they say is whose friend she is. I'm not sure.
I don't think they specify in the trailer.
So I don't know who she will help. But I don't know. I'm just like, I think Garcelle doesn't even really like Dorit, Kyle, or mostly just them, right?
Yeah, and they lost their crystal ally.
Yeah. And then we'll still get some Kathy for fun, but Kathy doesn't really help anybody. She's just like extra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess I wish, it just kind of stresses me out thinking about their dynamic as a group.
I think there's a big fracture, though. I think there's the whatever you want to call it, the Fox Force 5 alliance is now completely in the dump. Kyle and Erica versus Sutton and Garcelle is now much more dynamic. Sutton rose from the bottom, the least powerful cast member, to now part of an alliance that rivals what Erica and Kyle have. Now Dorit could possibly switch allegiances. Who knows? Like, I think that there's now... there has been tension brewing in this group, but because it was so lopsided for 3 or 4 seasons, that now we might see a huge shift in power. I still think that they need to find 2 more compelling cast members. That's always the case. Salt Lake City hit it out of the park with Bronwyn and Brittany. Potomac, I'm loving Stacy and Jazzy and Jacqueline. So Beverly Hills, we could get a great new cast member. We don't know. I think they need 2 new heavy hitters. They're trying. Anne Marie was obviously one of the biggest flops of all time. So they still need some casting here. But I think we're going to see a new dynamic with this cast this season.
Yeah, the new woman seems powerful. Like if the edit in the trailer is that she's rich and glamorous and like a woman that everyone knows who she is in town or something like that.
Yes.
So like I would like that power dynamic if everyone's a little intimidated by her or something and she could just come in and even make Sutton feel like freaked out or something.
Me
Could
too.
be interesting.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have high hopes. I feel like Beverly Hills is just like OC, where it's kind of slightly on autopilot, but the autopilot is cruising great and avoiding shit, ducks. You know what I mean? Cruising good. Yeah,
the cruise control is good.
Yeah, Salt Lake City is a different story. It's ramping up, and the pilot is racing around the skies, doing nose dives, bringing us back up, doing stuff that is unprecedented. It's so good. Right. But Beverly Hills and OC are just comforting and good. Like, good. Like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah. And then the other new trailer was for Southern Charm, which is coming soon. And I will say, because it's season 10. I can't believe it's been on that long. I mean, I guess I can, but it's kind of crazy. And I feel like the trailer teases like a dozen storylines.
Yes. Yeah, you want to go through what you remember? One of them.
Like it looks juicy.
Yeah, Craig. They have 2 new cast members, I hope I'm correct, and one of them has sexted with Craig in the past. I don't know if she said I've made love to Craig, but I think just sexting has happened in the past. And then another new cast member has made love to Shep in the past.
Okay. So those were different people.
Oh boy, I watched it twice. There's a cast member named Molly, and then I don't know if I knew who the other cast member was, if that was a person. Unless Molly slept with Shep and then sexted Craig, I don't think so. I think it's 2 new cast members, but they have prior dalliances with the Southern Charm cast.
Also, it was there was one with Craig, and then there was also a reference to this person having slept with or dated Taylor's new boyfriend as well. So basically it's gonna make everyone uncomfortable, which I like. I'm like, if that's like if we're gonna always be talking about Craig and Paige's relationship and like why they're not moving forward or whatever, I'm like, let's get some something to worry about in the mix.
Yeah, let's start to worry. The relationship that everyone knew was coming. We all said this. We were hypothesizing this, predicting it. JT and Vanita.
Oh my God, I don't know about that. I don't like that.
To me, it's giving new cast members trying to use each other to create a dynamic to possibly stay on the show, which I know there's a precedent for that in the past. Who knows? They only gave that maybe about 5 seconds. Maybe that's something that fizzles out and flops pretty quickly. But it was just interesting.
She had a boyfriend.
Yes, last season. She had a boyfriend completely, but now JT, I guess he said, "I've always loved you," since last season. Also, JT acting like a little stinker. He said they all go to Pat's house, Patricia's holy, beautiful house. They sit down in her wonderful tea room, and Craig, I think, says, "Just so you know, Patricia," I have to assume this was at BravoCon. I have to assume. He said he called Pat a bitch And they all tell that right to Patricia in front of her.
I gasped.
Me too. I said, that's horrible. But you can almost imagine him saying that because Patricia doesn't like JT and Whitney doesn't like JT, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe he just, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine that. Maybe when he was riding around on that bodyguard's back at BravoCon, he was screaming that at the top of his lungs. And then one other storyline I liked, the best, most potent storyline to me, even though it's sort of a little bit of a rehash, is that Austin and Austin and Shep don't think that Craig can be his true, beautiful, powerful self because he's now selling pillows and he's in a relationship with Paige. And they think, and Paige says those boys are chomping at the bit to say that I'm ruining your life and tamping down your spirit. And it sounds like Craig versus Austin and Shep is going to be a huge plot line this season because they're going to sort of push back on this maybe facade that Craig has, this new persona he's adopting.
Yes. Yeah. There's my favorite part. It's like the last line in the trailer, but it's a fight between Austin and Craig. And Austin is like, "You're an embellisher." And Craig goes, "I'm a lawyer and a storyteller."
Yeah, that was great. I love that they ended on that note. A lawyer and a storyteller.
We were talking about that a lot when that whole Spritz Society thing happened, where I was like, remember when Craig's like entire plot line was that he was a liar?
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm a lawyer and a storyteller. It's basically like we were just talking about liar. Yeah. So I think this looks
also Shep is apparently dating a fan.
Oh, right. That
madly in love.
Yes, but then there was sort of whispers where they're like, I don't even think that person is into Shep. So it's kind of, they're trying to plant the seed of doubt, like maybe this person is just dating Shep to get on the show. But they don't really, that was a huge fourth wall break. I don't really think that they would typically be saying like, they're a fan of Southern Charm, you know? Like that was in the trailer of Southern Charm.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's probably such a juicy area of their nightlife, and what got him in trouble in the first place is that every woman in Charleston or who visits Charleston watches Southern Charm and wants to drink and have sex with these guys.
Yeah. They must be so famous there. I was thinking about that with Heather, you know, on Salt Lake City, like when she goes anywhere in Salt Lake City, it's like probably so many people know you everywhere. You're like one of the most notable people besides Jared Osmond. And in Charleston, it's like, yeah, it must be so wild. Like you're the most famous person in your city. You got Bill Murray, Danny McBride, and then the cast of Southern Charm. Bill
Murray lives down there?
Yes, and the reason I know that is because I watched No Reservations for a few weeks, or I forget, one of the Anthony Bourdain shows.
Yeah.
And he goes to Charleston and he sits down with Bill Murray and they go to this place in Charleston that Bill Murray loves.
Fun.
Yep. And then finally, so Southern Charm looks good. You're right. I'm a little bummed out that Olivia's no longer in this cast. I'm sure that we'll feel a little bit of a deficit there, but it does seem like they sort of made some magic happen. Season 10 of Southern Charm.
To me.
December 5th, so you and I will just be getting over the Thanksgiving feast.
Oh, wow.
And we'll be starting to gear up for Santa to come down our chimneys, December 5th.
Bop-a-doo. And then, I mean, we haven't obviously talked about the newest OCs yet because that's going to come out tomorrow. But there is a trailer for the reunion, which I also thought looked pretty good.
I think it looks great. The dynamics are sort of what we know, even without watching the last couple episodes, because they want to, they don't want to step on anything. But yeah, it looked entertaining. Heather going for Katie, saying, "What the hell did I do to you? Did I murder your cat?" And Katie says, "I don't have a cat." And then I loved Emily Simpson. I think had the line of the trailer. She goes, "Every trash can needs a lid. And John Jansen is a steaming pile of garbage, and you're the lid, Alexis Bellino." I was like, whoa, I've never heard that expression.
Yeah, me neither. And then Alexis tries to be clever and calls, who was she saying? Emily and who else are Tweedledee and Tweedledum? And Emily goes off and is like, "You're the dumbest person I've ever fucking met. Don't call me dumb."
Yeah, that was great. There's some more allegations of like the extent of Shannon's drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good trailer. I mean, I cannot believe that. I think as this is no, this will come out. The OC will have already aired, but I can't believe we're in finale territory, and then possibly 3 parts of the reunion, and then OC is done.
Yeah,
For a
that's
long time.
crazy.
Yeah.
I also was excited that it sounds like Heather has intel from Sutton of Sutton throwing Katie under the bus.
Yeah, something like Sutton says you used her, and I'm sure that that's just going to be that Katie used Sutton as sort of a bridge between the two universes, so that she had a storyline going into this season, a regrettable storyline. I mean, it lasted way too long. I still, you don't like it. I still want to know the truth. I've been calling Disneyland to say, or to find out if they allow paparazzis to come in, but it did last too long. It should have been nipped in the bud after a couple episodes.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, a lot to look forward to. Question mark on VPR indefinitely, so we have to entertain ourselves with these other things. But I'm still number one most excited for Summer House, of course.
Oh, me too. We've got a lot to look forward to. We love Vanderpump Rules so much, but look at us. We are basically pigs rolling around in shit.
It's true. There's a lot.
Yeah. So do you want to be done? Move away from, much like one season going into the next. Do you want to go from one news segment into the first show that we want to talk about?
Yeah, let's do Salt Lake.
Right. Of course. Let's do Salt Lake, because as you won't be surprised that Amy and I found Salt Lake City this week to be the most enjoyable and by far the best episode of the 3 shows that we watched. Salt Lake City, it was season 5, episode 7. It was called The Huzzbands, which is alluding to the time when Meredith was drunk as a skunk in Palm Springs at a Copley's, and she started the Angie and Sean's husband rumor, saying, I know, don't let me talk about the husband. Right?
Yeah, I was assuming that's what they meant by that. But yeah, it picks right back off where it left last week at Angie's party with the Lisa feud, and it's like Justin and John getting into it, like, my wife is not a liar. John had like kind of put his hand out to Justin to slow his roll, and then it was a question mark if it was going to get physical. And Whitney says that Lisa starting all this and like saying stuff to Justin was inciting the husbands, like inciting a riot.
It was incitement at the highest degree, and people are saying this is a first for our husbands. Seth doesn't do this kind of stuff. Robert Sr. doesn't do this kind of stuff. They normally, no matter what is happening, the husbands stand back and do not interfere. But this was the first time where John felt compelled to defend his wife's honor, and Justin really, got aggravated. He goes, don't you dare put your hands on me. If you don't get out of my face, it's going to be very bad for you. I want to ask you right at the start, where do you fall on this John and Justin divide? I mean, watching it over again, it's kind of, I wanted to parse it with you. What happened here? Who was in the right? Who was in the wrong? What really happened?
I don't think that much really happened. It was just like, everyone was like heightened and like freaked out and angry, but what physically occurred or whatever was not that big of a deal to me. But by the end of the episode, I was like, Justin sucks. Like, not to get ahead, but when he's like pouring the drinks down the drain, I was like, you're so annoying. Like, relax.
He seems to be the husband that wants to make the most impact this season. And I did feel like I felt this last week, that his anger towards Lisa was a little too ramped up. So I get why John was called to action by that, because he did start to yell and scream, and he threw an F-bomb at Lisa and stepped towards her, which is what John says was the reason for it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't fully blame either of them. I think it's just like you said, it was sort of heat of the moment, and maybe Justin took it a little too far, and John just wanted to be protective of Lisa. But yeah, I don't know. They're sort of both. I guess it was just in the heat of the moment.
Yeah. And then Whitney tells Lisa that she can't own her own stink.
Yeah, she says, when you create stink, you must lay down in it. And I've never heard that before.
Own your stink.
She says, own your stink. Lisa, Lisa, I don't think Lisa says she will own it at any point. Also, Whitney is saying, she's saying, I don't understand Whitney at all, so it's hard for me to figure out what she's doing. But Lisa's like, don't call me, or Lisa's like, I didn't do that. Don't accuse me or defame my character. And Whitney's like, don't call me a liar. And Lisa's like, well, I didn't do that. But it's like, Lisa's like, Whitney, I just don't understand Whitney's point of view here. It seems like you're accusing Lisa definitively of spreading, reporting the Alibaba news to an Instagram. It's like, how is Whitney in the clear here at all? If Lisa says she didn't do it, what is Whitney pushing back on?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know. By the end of it, I was like, all right, we're not getting anywhere with this.
Yeah.
And Meredith chimes in and urges Whitney to believe Lisa. So she's standing by her friend. And then Angie's like, all right, like, my daughter's here. Let's get to this Mary Cosby blessing, which is a pretty funny idea in and of itself. And Mary forces Lisa and Whitney to join hands. She said it's very important.
Yes. So they have this beautiful blessing, and it sort of ends right there. I guess no more can happen at this party. Everyone leaves, but then we do get the aftermath of this, and that's when Justin has declared that he doesn't want any part of the Barlow empire, so he's pouring those Blue Jay drinks, which I've never heard of before. I don't remember that they sell those.
Yeah,
that's a different... Yeah, but he's pouring those down the toilet, and then even Whitney is astonished. She says, Justin, what are you doing? We could drink that, or we could give that to people, or donate it to Goodwill. And he goes, no, it deserves to go down the drain. And he even does that to the Vita tequila. A little performative.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you want your snowflake.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we also see the aftermath over at Lisa's house, and John is saying both sides expect an apology from the other one. And Lisa says, nobody gives a fuck about Whitney's jewelry at all. I think Whitney's only doing this so that when this episode airs, Whitney's fans will rally around her and spend $100,000 on jewelry for her, and then she does a great impression of like Whitney's fans. She says, "We feel so bad for Whitney, we're going to buy her healing necklaces." Which,
yeah, that was kind of a fourth wall break too.
Yeah, but who would do that? As a fan, you find out that Whitney's shop might be selling very overpriced Alibaba merchandise, so to rally around your favorite cast member, you decide to buy stuff from that store?
I'm trying to think in like another circumstance, like if Luann did a partnership with Giovanni, and then she was feuding with someone, and then I was like, I need to buy something from Luann ex Giovanni to support Luann.
That's a very good analogy. But if Luann put on Giovanni and she said this uses dog hair to make it, and if you're allergic to dogs, this is the most unethical dress you could ever wear, no one would then go, I want the dog haired dress, or what or the skin of a different animal. You know what I'm talking about? It's not just I want to rally around this product because they tried to make fun of it. It's this product is really shitty. Look what the horrible business practices that this person does. Again,
I don't really abide by the idea that what she's being accused of is even unethical. It's like embarrassing because it's like the quality of your product is bad, but it's like, unless it's like literal fraud where it's claiming it's like 14 karat gold and then it's plated or something like that. But I assume in the description it says what it is.
Alibaba.com No, no. I find it to be a degree off from fraud. I really do. I find it to be. I know. Okay, I'm not as well versed in the capitalism, but I find if I found out that I had been buying all of my jewelry from Prism, and I was like, I want to support Whitney's business. I love these handcrafted jewels from the mountains of Salt Lake, and then I found out that she was getting them for $9 on Alibaba.com and not changing any of the descriptive things. It's like it's the biggest
I guess
ripoff. It's a ripoff, not fraud.
I'd have to read how it's being represented to really see how egregious it is.
It says, I looked it up, the most healing necklace you could ever have in your life, fully crafted by Whitney and not from any other source on the internet. And my last,
not Alibaba.
Yeah, my last example is when, do you remember when, who tried to pull the wool over Ramona's eyes on RHONY and make her talk shit possibly about her white wine? That was Luann, right?
Luann and Jacques.
Luann and Jacques played one of the worst pranks in history. They put a blindfold on Ramona and they said, how do you like this disgusting white wine? And Ramona had to drink her own what was it called? True Ramona?
Ramona Pinot Grigio.
Ramona Pinot Grigio, and Ramona did not say this tastes like shit. She said, I think this is pretty good. And then when they released the blindfold, I could understand totally Ramona heads saying, I'm getting that Ramona wine because I do not like what Jacques did to Ramona.
Yeah. I wish you could still buy it. I've never been able to find it in my life.
Do you think there's any issues with distribution?
I think she just gave up at one point, but I love that episode. Remember when she's talking to Luann about the region that the wine is from, and Ramona's like, it's from Veneto. And Luann's like, Veneto.
Yes. I love that so much. I never got to drink Ramona Pinot Grigio.
Me neither. At this point, I mean, maybe there's some somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find that one of the last bottles. Could you imagine? And we find the last one. It's in not in a cave, but I was imagining like us blowing the dust off of it and finally getting to drink that.
Oh no, Norman is trying to join us.
Oh really? Is he? He's not wearing his Chucky. He's not wearing his Chucky outfit yet, is he?
No, he's nude.
Oh wow! Oh, completely. Okay. Next scene so I want to say that in the interest of time, you and I are not going to do the full hour and a half, but I loved almost every scene of this episode. I mean, it's really for not having like a Mob Wives like iconic event. It's still just an amazing episode of Salt Lake City, even when they're doing nothing. I mean, I liked the Brittany and Heather sit down where they're talking about the Jared Osmond stuff. And then we get finally a first, I think, in Salt Lake City history, just a Huzzbands scene where John and Justin decide to go to, I don't know what that place was called.
Oh, I didn't
see. Because John texted Justin and said, I think we need to bury the hatchet on this thing. And so we've never seen this before in my life, but John pulls up to this, I think it was called, I don't know what actually it was, but they specialize in potatoes. But John pulls up and they do this amazing parallel parking edit on him.
I would be so pissed if I were him. I was like dying to know who was going to get out of the car. And I was like, oh damn, it's John Barlow. That's such a, so shady of them.
Yes, it really was. It was almost like the Sopranos finale with Meadow trying to parallel park, if you remember that. And then they go in, and it's very, very awkward. Really awkward.
Yeah.
Not only is it awkward to kind of talk about this stuff, but I think that they're not used to just going on a solo potatoes lunch and having this kind of scene. Yeah. So John doesn't even know how to begin. He goes, well, wait a second, Justin, before I say anything, let's order some appetizers. I've been hearing all over town that this place has some of the best smashed potatoes you've ever had in your life.
I know. I was like, that's like a side order. I feel like I'm like, you're going to need forks, like plates.
Yes, and then when the person comes over, I forget what they're called, waiters. He goes, he goes, what are you gonna have? And he goes, we're gonna have those smashed potatoes that I keep hearing about. And then Justin goes, and I'd also like an old fashioned. And John says, let's make that 2 of those. And I was like, this is one of the most iconic meals I've ever seen in my life. Smashed potatoes between the two of them, and then two old fashioned. Pretty
I know.
classic meal.
I know. I wonder if they, I mean, I saw that they did get their order. I don't think they showed them eating them, but I'm like, I feel like they just left immediately after they were done talking.
No, they were eating them. If you look very closely, it's a big heaping pile of potatoes, but they're not mashed. They're more sort of inelegantly, roughly
Yeah, smashed.
Yes, and then John goes, so what I have to say to you is, he's like, what do you think happened? And there's sort of this what's it called when two sides don't want to admit, there's not a truce, but neither one wants to say that they were in the wrong.
Right.
So they're kind of like testing the waters of who might want to apologize. They're not going full force here.
Yeah, and they're like not that mad. Like they're kind of once they're together, they're like seemingly willing to forgive and be like, yeah, like I just didn't really like what was being said at that party. And then John is like, you kind of took a step forward, which I interpreted as like an act of aggression, which I think you would agree. Like if the roles were reversed, you would feel the same way. And they were both kind of just like, yeah, like, all right, like whatever.
Yeah, and then John said, or Justin goes, what I really couldn't believe is when we were sidling up to the table and I started talking to Lisa in a more not angry tone, and then John immediately went over with his hand like a crowbar and pulled
Right.
Justin away. And John goes, I am very sorry about that. He goes, once I was in protective mode again for Lisa, everything you were doing made me worried, and I just wanted to separate you both.
Yeah.
So John gives the apology, but then he goes, Justin, he goes, I think, is there any kind of maybe an apology coming over from your side of the fence? Because Lisa might think that there might be an apology. And Justin goes, I'm going to really have to think about that. But then in the confessional, he goes, I'm never going to apologize. What the hell would I apologize for? And then they kind of, because Justin won't say I'm going to apologize, they kind of just look down at their table. And that's when the scene ends. And I was wondering, what do you think the rest of that? You think they just immediately paid for those potatoes and left?
Check, please.
Yeah, it was definitely probably a check please moment. How did you feel about that scene overall?
It was fine. I just like, I don't know. They're not, I don't really need them in the mix personally. They're not giving me like Jersey husbands. Like, I don't really want to see more Justin, honestly.
Definitely not. What's your rankings? What's your rankings of SLC house husbands? I'll go first. Robert Senior, number one.
The rarely seen.
No, I'll say Seth is my least favorite. Don't get me started on why. I just everything about him makes me not enjoy his presence. I think John, who if I'm forgetting someone, Sean. I like Sean.
Yeah.
Angie's husband. I'm okay with him. Justin is in the dog shit bottom with Seth. Who am I missing? What other husband? No, there's no other that I'm missing, right? Todd? Oh my God. Todd is number one. I'm so glad you brought him up. Sorry. Robert Sr., you're three. Todd's number one. John's number two. And then the bottom of the pile is Justin and Seth Marks.
Okay.
How about you? Any switch up from that?
Todd seems cool. I like that he is so rich and yet collects Starbucks mugs.
I love that too. I mean, let's talk about Todd for a second, because he's kind of in this episode a little bit. He makes his feelings known about what is going on with the Bronwyn and Gwen's grandparents, this whole new development. And Todd seems to be pretty firm on the side of this family is absolutely despicable, he says, for what they did to you. And I don't think there's any benefit to Gwen having them, in her life. Pretty much.
Yeah. These protective husbands. Did you also like that they were eating in one of those like COVID pods?
I love those. I eat in those so frequently now. All those outdoor spaces that were created. I really like that. That was great. And I did love the detail that Todd goes around the world and goes into Starbucks in every single country or city and gets one of those iconic Starbucks mugs.
Yeah, I feel like that's charming to a degree, but when she said that they had boxes of them, I was like, all right, that's excessive. Like, what are you doing with those?
They have boxes of those, and then they had 30 on their counter.
Yeah, it's kind of demented. Um, Also, what did you think about the whole airport thing? Because obviously it was filmed for the show and they had her put on like five different costumes to film a montage, but there did appear to be evidence, photo evidence of her having done this for real in the past.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely should talk about it. So you think that they went to Salt Lake Airport maybe 3 times and she did 5 costumes each time?
I think they went like once.
They went once and she did 15? I was like, what? I said, well, I thought, how many times have they gone with her to the Salt Lake City airport to pick up Todd?
Yeah.
Which I guess your theory makes much more sense. But I couldn't imagine that she was in Salt Lake City airport, going to the bathroom, putting on a unicorn outfit, then going back to the Salt Lake City bathroom, and then putting on like the dinosaur outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, they did have some photos where it looked like a different time, but I think there was at least two where when he approached, he was wearing the same thing.
Wow. So they had to say, so Todd had to, after a flight from South Korea, he had to go back to the front of the gate or whatever, baggage claim, and he had to walk up and redo a scene so that Bronwyn could wear that a different type of costume that she had on.
I'm just like, I mean, I guess if that's what they're into, good for them, but I'm kind of like, that's not going to make me find you charming, just so you know.
Yeah, I really love Bronwyn, and this won't take her down a peg at all for me, but I did not understand what this was. I didn't like when she sidled up to the people at the baggage claim and she goes, oink, oink. And they go, what? And she goes, oink, oink. And then she also said, this is how we keep things spicy. And I was like, does he get horny when he sees you dressed up like a mushroom at the airport?
Yeah, he gets charged up. Um, they were also at that in their COVID pod lunch. They loved talking shit about Britney.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wanted to say another thing that we learned is that Bronwyn is kind of holding the invites over this cast's head, like the sword of Damocles. She's saying, I don't think Britney obviously is not coming on this trip. And I thought, you guys are okay. You just hugged Britney at the Mob Wives party, and you remember she comforted her, and like they were sort of moving on the same page. Right. I don't know why it's a given that you want to just cut off a friend of immediately because you have the power to do that. I don't think that you and Britney are bad enough to justify that. And then the other one that really makes me steamed is that she's pretending like she's not going to invite Heather on this all-cast trip.
Right. She's like, I'm really on the fence. She like keeps saying like, I'm on the fence about Heather.
Yeah. And then that leads us into what I thought was a powerful scene, which is that Bronwyn says, I'm going to invite Heather over to my home so that we can talk about this. So it's not awkward if I do invite her to the trip or if I don't invite her to the trip. So I loved this scene. I thought it was great. I think that I am both on the side of Heather and Bronwyn in this scenario. I think that they sort of both did the same thing to each other. Heather's justified in thinking that Bronwyn was talking shit about Whitney and that she might be talking shit behind everyone's back. She doesn't know if she's two-faced or not. And I think that Bronwyn should be a little reserved about Heather, knowing that Heather is talking shit about Bronwyn to all the cast members and trying to vilify her in a way.
Right. Yeah, it feels like Heather feels entitled as an OG and is like, I can do that to you, but you can't do that to me. That's not how this works, honey.
Yes.
I also wanted to say quickly before we dig into this final scene that the scene when Heather goes to Brittany's house for that fireside church group or whatever.
Oh, right.
Because some singing happens at that party. I also saw on TikTok that Britney had like a singing career. Like she performed at Disney musical events, like at Disney World and stuff.
Whoa. Yeah, they show the Martin family singers. Did you see that?
That was
They
amazing.
they show Mort and Brittany's mom and their entire family. They were a singing group just like the Osmond family. And
And
Megan
the Von
said
Trapp.
maybe, yeah, and totally like the Von Trapps. They were dressed very similarly to the Von Trapps. And I really did actually, Brittany. I don't want to just, yeah, you're right to bring that scene up because I did think it was great. Brittany hosts this Mormon gathering where it's like if you're not at church and you want to just have a more casual get together, this is where you bring friends and family to just sing. And I thought that Mort, Brittany's dad, really had a wonderful spark. And I
Yeah.
loved his speech, or it's not a speech, like a toast to the memory of his wife. Like, this is one
Yeah.
of the sweetest things I've ever seen. He was like,
Yeah.
she was my partner for 50 years. We played 50,000 games of pickleball, and she won 60% of the time. He goes, I lost my angel, and I cried for every day and night for weeks after. I was like, wow, this is like very touching. I thought that
Yeah.
Mort was a true standout, and that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah. I also like that Angie brought a bottle of wine and Brittany's like, so inappropriate. Mormons don't drink. And then Angie's like, well, you've been drinking at every single event I've ever been at with you. And then they show her drinking at like 10 different events.
Yeah, they show her slurping down wine. Did you hear them all gasp when they saw that, when she brought it in?
Yeah. That woman was like judging from the back. Oh my God. Norman is like trying to type on the keyboard. Sorry.
That's okay. If you're watching on YouTube, check it out because you get to see Norman crossing. He's kind of a black cat, and I mean, I know we're not out of Halloween season, but you know that's typically something that happens in a scary film. So we get we get to the final scene, which we were already talking about, and we have to take a moment to talk about Bronwyn's house through the eyes of Heather.
Yeah.
Now, if I was inviting someone over, I would have also done a little bit of due diligence because what Heather finds. Due diligence because what Heather finds is that Bronwyn's house is filled to the brim with dog shit and piss.
That's never a good sign. Whenever that happens on TV, which it happens a lot, I'm like, I would be so horrified.
I would too. If a cast member walked into my house, I was on my first season, and they stepped in dog shit that I had left in my room, I would never be able to think about anything else. It also looked like one of the dogs was sick. It had like,
worms.
I don't want to get into it, but there was a sickness within that room. And then, yeah, and Heather doesn't, she says, if I called Mary's house, Whoville, which I didn't remember it was Whoville. I thought it was Willy Wonka's paradise. Yeah. If that was Whoville, then this is Pound Puppy's Palace?
I know. I was like, is that a thing?
I looked it up, and there's a thing called Pound Puppies, and there's a thing called Palace Puppies.
Pound Puppies, but I didn't know they had a palace.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a pull that maybe you and I don't know, but I laughed just the same. I was like, Heather had that one ready for her confessional. And then that's when we get the mugs. We see all the different sort of colored couches and stuff in there. And then they sit down, and Bronwyn starts it out. And it's a little like the Justin and John talk, where who's going to apologize? What is this scene? What's going to happen here? And Bronwyn goes, if you thought that I might have been messy, I will apologize because I do think there is some evidence that could be construed as that. When in fact I went to Angie and said that stuff that you said to Lisa about Angie saying Lisa was a bad mom. So I can account for me being messy. And then Heather kind of holds her like, what's the mouse that the cat won't eat? What's that expression? Like she's kind of holding her like Amy is dealing with a nightmare on her end of the screen because Norman. Because Heather won't give anything to Bronwyn. She goes, you assume you were being messy or you were being messy? And Bronwyn goes, I will allow you to say I was messy, and if I was, I apologize. I just want to give you what you can get from this for us to move forward. And Heather goes, you can say whatever the hell you want. You don't have to move forward with me. And I'm like, okay, Heather, you could give her something here, right?
Yeah, they both kind of start off immediately being like defensive. Like Heather sits down, she's like, I'm surprised you even invited me here because I didn't think you liked me very much. And then Bronwyn's like, I didn't think you liked me very much. And another mention of stink or stank. Bronwyn's like, well, you go around town telling people what I said and put your own stank on it. So I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I almost thought she was going to say you have created a stink and you won't lay down in it. It was very similar to that. And then Heather won't and then Bronwyn goes, is there any sort of apology that might come my way? And Heather says no, she doesn't think that there's anything for her to apologize, or basically says that. And then she goes, I am so uncomfortable. I don't understand what is happening here. I thought you've been two-faced to me and you've been talking behind Whitney's back, so you might do that to me. And I just have to say I'm overall very uncomfortable. And Bronwyn says, well, I wanted to do this because I'm hosting a trip to Long Beach or Palm Springs. Palm Springs. And I want to make sure that if I don't invite you, this won't become a bigger deal, and if I do invite you, that we can like bury the hatchet. And Heather goes, "Oh, so you had me come over here because you have a trip that you're lording over me, and you're going to make me sing for my supper?" And Bronwyn goes, "She goes, that's your version of what I'm trying to do." So Heather, I think, although I think both are in the right for how they feel about each other, Heather didn't want to give anything to Bronwyn and didn't give her any escape hatch for this conflict to be over. And then Heather goes, I want to leave now because I'm so uncomfortable with this.
Right. It felt like, because it's not like anything new came up that was unforgivable. Like, they both knew what had been done. But yeah, she did not wish to forgive.
No, forgiveness was not a part of her spirit at all. No gratitude, no forgiveness. And then Heather goes, I'm getting the hell out of here. And Bronwyn goes, hey, not cool that you can't even, your self-awareness is so low that you can't even take any responsibility for your actions. And then Heather always has some amazing retorts. She goes, thanks so much for the note on my self-awareness. And she also says something about how enjoy your new friends. I don't think you need me as a friend. And so Heather is killing it in the scene, but some might say that Heather was a little too harsh on Bronwyn. And when she leaves, Bronwyn, unfortunately, I felt very bad. Bronwyn cries. Like, damn.
And in her confessional, Heather says, she's shown me her shitty house and now she's shown me her shitty intentions and I don't care for either, which I guess that would be the skewering sense of humor that Bronwyn was talking about.
Exactly. Skewering humor for sure. And I was like, whoa, she called her house shitty. Like, that's pretty bad. But if you take it to mean literally, there was shit all over her house.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
You know what I mean? It makes it a little better, because a shitty house is a huge insult. I mean, you're taken to task for that in the reunion, but I think Heather has a little bit of plausible deniability by saying, no, it was covered in shit. Did you see the dog shit on the walls and everything?
That's true. Yeah, when they showed the shit, I was like, all right, gross. And then they showed piss, and I was like, oh, this is like a pattern. Which I'm if you have 6 dogs, like, shit's gonna go down, you know?
I know. I would be very diligent about how much shit they were producing in the house. It looked like she was probably keeping them in that purple room, and then maybe when she wanted to show it off, she was like, look what my dogs hath wrought in here. You know what I mean? Like, this is a mess. So one thing I want to note, no Meredith this episode.
Oh yeah, like not at all. Except at the beginning, like from the leftover scene from last week, yeah. Yeah,
but I mean, Meredith, nothing was rising to the occasion that needed to be filmed here.
True. I saw she was with Andy Cohen. I think she was on Watch What Happens Live after this episode. And she was coming from somewhere with Andy or something. So they arrived at the studio together. And she looked like, I don't know what she's had done or what is going on, but she looks face-tuned in real life.
Really?
Like,
Meredith?
she was walking with Andy, and I was like, I would normally think you were Facetune, but it was just Instagram. Like they were on the streets in New York, and I was like, she looks. I mean, she looked good, but she looked different.
Wow. Wow. I need to look at a photo of that because I can't even imagine it. I have one last question because in the scenes for next week, they go to Palm Springs. And I had to ask, was Heather there?
That's a good question.
Because they kind of
Yeah.
do they cut Heather out because they want to retain the mystery so that we don't know
Right.
whether or not Heather was invited?
Yeah, I feel like everything I saw was kind of like couples based. Like it looks like they play a sex game, like
Oh.
what's your favorite position? And then it looks like potentially Lisa and John get asked to leave.
Yes, I saw that too. Todd Todd told Bronwyn, he goes, I think those two Barlows need to leave immediately, right?
Yeah, it's giving like Tom Girardi cranky maybe.
Yeah, like I don't know how these shows work. When people are
Yeah.
rude, they immediately leave. You know, like yeah, totally. It was yeah, you're right. Todd Girardi when he goes. What did he say? He goes, Erica.
Tom Girardi.
Tom goes, Erica, I'm speaking. You remember?
It's my turn to talk about Matlock.
We should we should have known something was wrong right there.
Yeah, everyone was like, it was
Yeah.
Lisa Rinna and Lisa Vanderpump, right?
Lisa Rinna could not believe what was happening. Um, okay, great, wonderful. I want to gauge your piss meter. Where are you? Where are you on the certified turtle piss break? Do you want to do a quick?
I can do whatever you need to do. And my main question is, can you hear the Darth Vader breathing of this cat?
I will say, unfortunately for the little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, I will say that you can hear Norman. I've heard him in the past. And
Yeah.
so do you want to take, do you want to take
Yeah,
a
we can
certified?
take a break and I'll find a more suitable location for
I'm
him.
so
He was
sorry.
Quite persistent.
I'm so sorry. I love him so much. It's only because I hear his breathing, sort of exactly like
We're
you said.
still working on figuring out why he
Yeah.
is so congested.
So good. Let's take a total certified turtle piss / Norman break, and we will come back and we are going to talk about Potomac, which was great,
Yeah.
and then RHONY, which might be one of the worst episodes they've ever had in history. We'll talk about both of those when we come back. So, all right, see you in a minute. We're back.
Hello, Norman is in bed now.
Oh, in bed? I bet he can't wait till he gets to wear that scary costume tonight.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
Yeah. What ads do you think our little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs heard during that break?
Factor. Do we still
Factor
get those?
meals. Yep. Factor meals is a big one. I forget. There's that car dealership in Pasadena that we get a lot. But anyway, let us know what you heard. I hope it was good. But we are fully back, and we are ready to now talk about Real Housewives of Potomac, which this was another great episode. Talk about being on autopilot where the pilot is on cruising, but it's cruising well. Not in dangerous territory. I think Potomac is just fun and entertaining to watch, even when it's not like the biggest, most explosive thing is happening. Like Karen's, what was that dinner? Karen's, was that her birthday at the start of the season? Hatitude. Yeah, it's like you don't even need a big event. They're just being fun and funny all the time. This cast is great. So they are in, speaking of Norman,
Yeah.
they're in Lake Norman. And this is
True.
this is apparently where Gordon and Ink and Mia would go to sort of rest their weary heads. Like a family trip, right? They would go there all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it has ties to her and Ink. Like they moved there after high school, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And Gordon, they said that Gordon sometimes likes to be on family trips with Ink and live in the same house as him, and sometimes he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, it's a messy situation.
Yeah.
But she did try and do this trip in style for everyone. I think she wants them to like Lake Norman. So she got a concierge, they have chefs, there's like food and drinks everywhere. And then we get the classic housewives choosing of the rooms or assigning of the rooms. And Karen is screaming about the idea of sharing a toilet with Giselle. And I did enjoy this part. It kind of fits into our lore. Uh, Giselle's like, all right, well, anyways, I am going to pee really quick in our shared bathroom, so get out of here. And Karen goes, ugh, like, pee? Like, don't say that. And she's like, well, I'm going to go pee in there. What are you going to do? And she's like, I will urinate at the proper time.
Yeah. Were you waiting with bated breath that she might call it piss?
I mean, she would hate piss if she hates pee.
I mean, could you imagine? It's like piss is so much worse as a word in every way.
But I also will say I don't really want to hear about someone having to urinate. Like that sounds
Right.
worse.
It's all bad. We say that. It's all bad. No one wants to say any of this stuff. So I did like that, arrivals to a house. I think they called this Mia's Manor, right?
Uh-huh.
So she did, like you said, she did everything good. Like this was great. And everyone, there's no moaning and groaning except Mia did everything right, except there's one room that you would not want to go in if you were on this trip. Like if you and I were invited,
Yeah.
if we were on this trip, we would definitely be getting the bunk beds room. But she opens it up, and then unfortunately, Kay has to sleep in the bunk bed room with Stacy, and so there's a huge drop off in terms of room quality if you're on this trip, right?
Yeah. At one point they try and push the bunk beds together to make them like queen bed bunk beds, and it really, you can tell it just doesn't work because the frames are too wide and then mattresses will never meet, and I'm like, sucks.
Yeah, and there's a safety bar. Stacy later says there's safety bars on the, so you can't even really stress out because you've got this safety bars. What if they were all trundle beds?
Oh, don't get me started on trundle beds. I had a trundle bed growing up. I had to sleep on the trundle.
The trundle is, if I'm remembering correctly, that's the part that just comes out, right? It's like a futon, except the bed part is under hidden, and then you roll it out.
Hidden mattress, yeah.
I couldn't imagine Kay's reaction if it was like 6 trundles in there. But what I was saying is that I liked this arrival of the house. Like if this was on a different show, you kind of get bored when they're like playing rock, paper, scissors for the bedrooms or whatever, but this was all fun. I loved that Wendy was so excited to get her 40th birthday room. Like she gets there and she's like gleeful, and Mia took care of her. Like you're right. Like Mia wanted this to be a stylish, fun trip, and they all had the proper reactions. Besides Kay, and then Karen didn't like sharing a toilet, but she kind of got over it. She was okay with that.
Yeah, when Stacy does arrive, I couldn't tell if she was just trying to be amenable as a new cast member, but she at least pretended to be very excited about the idea of having bunk beds.
I wanted to bring it up. Let's talk about it right now. I kept thinking, I don't know why, but I said Stacy is not going to like sleeping in these bunk beds. I didn't think that she would enjoy it at all. I think that she would take it as a slight against her position on the show. But Stacy, when she finally gets there, loves the bunk bed environment and atmosphere, right?
Yeah. She's like, this is what I've always dreamed of.
She goes,
which I could, I'm surprised that a woman over 30 would have that opinion. I feel like I understand the possibility of that, like thinking that's fun. But now as someone that has to pee or piss or urinate every single night, being in a bunk is terrible.
The top bunk, especially. Would you? I'm always so afraid I'm going to roll off.
Well, that's what the safeguard is for.
Right. But my bunk beds that I sleep in don't have that safety bar because they're for older people that they don't think you're going to roll off. But so I loved this stuff. All the arrival, Lake Norman. They all sit down, and there's a part that's I'm not as engaged by, which is sort of the friend of bubbling contact. Conflict. It's like Jazzy versus Jacqueline, and who's going to be Mia's better friend or better sidekick or ally. It kind of bubbled up because of a the sidekick word was used. And then Jacqueline confronts Jazzy about that and says, I'm not a sidekick. Look at me. Is this a sidekick? And I kind of like that. She goes, look at my face, look at my hair, look at my outfit. You've never seen a sidekick look like this. And it was kind of fun. I was like, this is cool. And then
the hair, the body, the intellect, the finesse.
Yeah, it was cool. I was like, okay. I do like all of the friend ofs. I like Kay. I'm fine with Jacqueline. I think everybody's good. And then that kind of devolves. They get over the friend of bubbling conflict, and then Karen says, "Hey, Jacqueline, I heard that you said that I was drunk as hell on a phone call with you sometimes." And Karen goes 10 out of 10 on Jacqueline. Says basically, I don't like you at all. You're a flip-flopper. I was trying to give you advice on how to navigate things on this show, and now you're accusing me of being drunk. Like, it was, she took Jacqueline to task.
Yeah, she calls her a backstabbing heifer.
Yeah. And Karen is continuing to say to us, the audience, and to all of the people on this cast, I'm not talking about my DUI. You will find out the truth once the justice has been served. So I can't talk about this. So she says in her confessional, I'm not talking about this. She, like, as much as they pry, and Mia really tries to get it out of her, she will not talk about this subject. And she's deflecting a little bit with anybody who brings it up and trying to, create new controversy that's not about her.
Right. Yeah. She, when she pops off on Jacqueline ends up crying, and, the Grand Dame says, you can cry till the cows come home. I don't give a fuck. Don't fuck with me. And then in her confessional, she's like, the Grand Dame never crumbles. And she goes, how many world wonders are there? 7? She's like, I'm the 8th world wonder.
I absolutely love that in every way. That was so great. I mean, I don't like that she made Jacqueline cry. But I don't know. I probably do think that Jacqueline was creating whispers and rumors about Karen being drunk, and that's not, good to do. I'm fine with Karen sort of taking her to task for that. But Karen is absolutely pissed. And then an undercurrent of this entire thing that's kind of people are also whispering about is that the memo has gone out that Stacy is boring.
Yeah.
And now I have to say, knowing what boring cast members are like on other franchises, I don't find Stacey to be boring at all.
Right. I know. I was thinking about Rebecca Minkoff and how she was accused by Sai before the show came out of being boring. And I feel like that's coming up again now. And I'm like, yeah, she fits the mold. Stacey, I'm like, I want to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I'm like, I could watch Stacey do almost anything at this point. She's already had very dynamic, engaging scenes, solo scenes, and I think she's great with the group, and she's a completely different energy than anybody else. So I just don't buy that, but apparently Giselle is saying that, Mia is saying that, and then Karen is saying, I think Stacey just needs to like open up more, or they need to get to know, Stacey more.
Yeah, I also think she's kind of weird. Like,
yeah.
She was like, when she was accused of being boring, she's like, I'm an alien because I'm out of this world with positivity and light. She's like, I use my success to unite people. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. And then they cut to this clip, and I was like, what were the editors trying to say here? She's on QVC, and she's going, for the person who loves Jesus in your life, this is the best cross necklace you could ever own. And I'm like, is that representative of, or representing her spreading joy and positivity? Or were they trying to highlight that Stacey is a little odd? Right. Because they gave her that alien noise too.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she is weird. I would love to see it.
Me too.
And then they go on a pontoon boat in Lake Norman, and Mia knows all the facts about Lake Norman. She's like, at certain points, the lake is up to 115 feet deep.
I loved
and I was
that.
Like, where did you read that?
I know. I was watching the scene. I go, I wonder how deep that lake is. I think she just, you brush up on your facts about this place that you brought everybody to. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And then the topic on the boat, one of them is that because Mia says they come here, there was a New Year's Eve photo with her and Gordon and Ink and the kids. She's still married. Giselle says it's all going on too soon. Giselle says, if I'm confused, the kids are confused, which I'm sure is true. They're like, what the hell is this family dynamic? And then she goes over like how Gordon is like managing his he said he was bipolar, right? That's what he has.
Oh, I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that is what he said.
So she's explaining like how she can tell the signs of when he's becoming manic, and they show clips of him like buying her Range Rover and stuff like that. So I'm like, I will give her some grace in that area, that I'm sure she was dealing with a lot. Like before that was revealed, like she was just low key dealing with manic episodes for years, which I'm like,
Yeah.
that's rough, you know?
Yeah. So they talk about that, and then Stacy brings up to everyone, she goes, who the hell called me boring here? And then Giselle goes, what did Giselle say? Giselle said, I called you stiff. And then Mia said, I just find you to be completely uninteresting.
Yes.
Which is, imagine hearing that. But I felt like Stacy handled it very well. I mean, being called boring is, a top 10 insult, I'm sure, especially on this show. And I felt like Stacy kind of was just more questioning why they would say that, but didn't get too aggravated at all, or didn't let it ruin her day. She kind of rolled with the punches, and she's basically confident enough in herself that she is not boring,
Yeah. She also, right before that conversation, it came up about how she was mad that Ashley revealed to the group that she was dating TJ or whatever. And she sort of tried to pull punch with Ashley and was like, you put your bunions all over my marble countertops. And I was like, oh shit, you're trying to make a moment here.
Yeah, and then the editors did a great job. They do this slow-mo of Ashley speaking, and then she does fully puts her bunion right on the countertop. They do like a black and white edit of Ashley doing that. So it's true.
Yeah. But by the end of the boat, she's doing what they're calling the stiff dance. They're all kind of like laughing. It seemed like everyone was actually fine by the end of it.
And Karen, and Karen says this is the side of Stacy that I love. This is the side of Stacy that cracks my side open with laughter. And also, I think Ashley kind of nipped the thing in the bud too. She kind of says to Stacy, she goes, I didn't know your relationship with what's his name, TJ.
Yeah.
TJ. She's like, I didn't know your relationship. I'm sorry that I said it. I had no idea that would have the impact. And Karen justifies it with Stacy by saying like she's just a private person, or she wanted to tell that story. So I don't think that Ashley Stacy thing is going to continue on. I think that might be over after this trip.
Yeah, and Karen tells the group that they need to support Stacy because she's going through a divorce, and they should all know how hard that is. So then they park the boat. There's going to be a dinner. It's also been told to us earlier that Giselle is leaving tonight but coming back tomorrow.
I respect that. I respect that.
I love that she's still got like one of the nicest rooms, and she's like not even sleeping there.
Yeah, I would sleep in that room the one night that she was gone, and then go back to the bunk bed. No, but I like that because most people, they would just bow out the entire time. I mean, she's powerful enough to miss a trip, but I like that she's coming back. But she just had like an obligation that she had to do. And then Mia brings out a bunch of her friends. I was kind of like, this is Mia's trip, but it's also Wendy's birthday trip. But it sounds like Wendy only gets one day. Like, it can only be Wendy's birthday one day. The rest of it is kind of a Mia showcase. So Mia brings out all of her friends, which I don't know where they were like waiting from. Were they like,
I know.
They all were like in a room somewhere, and they come out. And then Mia goes, I want you all to tell wonderful stories about me. To everyone at the table. Oh, I'm kind of skipping ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's almost like you don't even need to go into it because it went so smoothly, but essentially Giselle and Karen make up about the event snafu.
Yeah. It was handled very well by both of them. Giselle said, Karen, I have a bone to pick with you. I'm not going to make it about, it's not going to be on Wendy's birthday, and also I'm leaving, but I really felt like you should have supported me and this event to honor my dad. And I really felt that you didn't properly tell me that your event was basically happening at the same time. And Karen says, I completely understand. I would never want to dishonor your father like that. I made every accommodation for the girls to go to both events, but you're right. that was bad, and it's a full truce. And Giselle, at the end of it, she says, like, I'm ready to just move forward with Karen. So there's a lot of resolution this episode.
Yeah, which is always nice when you're just like, okay, cool, like, let's move on.
Yeah, I like that too.
But yeah, then there's like Mia's friends are trying to. Karen says that she's met some of these girls before and went out with them, and she was like, it was fun. Like they get crazy. So yeah, they're telling stories. One of them brings up that ink licked Mia's toes.
It was at Thanksgiving dinner, she said. Could you imagine? Could you imagine seeing that at Thanksgiving dinner?
Please, God, no. Now I'm picturing the OC Tamra and the pie and whatever the hell that was.
Oh, when Jen Pedranti was smashing a pie with her feet for OnlyFans?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mia uses this opportunity because I forget which friend it was, but Mia's like, me, this person right here, and Karen went out a while ago, or was it years ago? And apparently they were like raging, and Karen left them and butt dialed them. And Mia brings this up at the table and she goes, you butt dialed us, Karen. And we heard you saying those girls think I'm with Ray.
Yeah. And Karen doesn't know what Mia's going to say, Like she's like bracing for it. Yeah. And then, Karen apparently said that. So the implication is that Karen called them right after she left them. Was that what it was?
I think so.
And then accidentally butt dialed. And then she said, they think I'm with Ray, meaning that she might have been with someone else. And this is the perfect crime that you're getting away with being with. You think the implication is another man, like that she's cheating on Ray with?
Coming up.
Yeah.
That's like an ongoing accusation.
Yeah, so we don't know yet how Karen will handle this. Kind of a wild story for Mia to bring up because obviously Karen will have to respond. It could be like a nothing burger. It could be like, oh yeah, I say that all the time.
I'm sure she'll say nothing.
Yeah. Do you wish Butt Dial had a different name?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really work anymore.
Like accidental call.
That has a real flair to it.
Okay. Anything else about Potomac? Any other highlights that we didn't expound on? Anything else to say? I mean, it was a pretty fun, good episode, but not a lot to really discuss, in my opinion.
Right. It was like straightforward. Did they show any clips from next week for that? I don't remember.
I don't know what happened. I think I closed my eyes on accident and I didn't see what is coming up, but I'm sure, we'll find out exactly what Karen meant when she said, they think I'm with Ray, but I have no clue what's coming up next. It's going to be a full surprise.
Great.
All
right. Well, I feel like we can just do a little touch base in RHONY because I know that we've talked shit before, but you already said it. Do you agree? Is this one of the worst episodes so far of the new RHONY?
I think it's on par with some of the major stinkers that we talked about last season, but this really stood out as the dregs of what the new RHONY is. This had all of the hallmarks of how bad this new iteration of RHONY can be. I mean, this was what was Andy Cohen doing when he got the rough cut of this one? Like, right. Whoa. Yeah. Are you going to add edits of the Clueless movie? I mean, I think there might be a little too much here of that. Like, yeah. I mean, this has to be even the staunchest RHONY defenders. You got to say, oh, I don't know about that one. I mean, lackluster.
I would say save for size, upstate burial moment, which I do think stands out as super real. And if anything, I mean, we'll talk about it, but it was interesting to see that she didn't even want to give into it. Her aunt is really trying to go for it and being real. Her aunt, I have her name somewhere, is she's great on Sophia is great on camera. Like she's like so charming and like cool and interesting, and she was just ready to do that scene completely authentically, and you can tell Sai is like desperate for it to be over because she's getting emotional and she like doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, this is the best scenario you've ever been in. Like, please play into this. Like, it's really good.
I thought the same thing. It's like, this is a real scene and you are withdrawing, from it because you don't want to let your true feelings come out while your aunt is giving everything and truly tapping into what this is. Like that, by far the best scene. And it was almost a disservice to Sai to put it in this horrendous episode because it was beautiful, and we will get to it. So overall, this episode is so boring, so boring overall, and has the worst contrived plot line that on a show filled with 2 seasons of fake garbage of Cheesegate, Ubergate, Connecticut Gate, whatever the shit is that they've been trying to give us. This was like, Aaron goes, whoa, this season is really dog shit so far. I got to step it up. I'm one of the heavy hitters of this show. I'm the center apple holder. I'm going to say right now that I no longer like Jenna, and I don't want to be close to her ever again. And I'm going to talk about it every 5 seconds of this episode to everyone who will listen because of nothing, basically.
Yeah. They really thought they did something with the Clueless thing, which, like I said last week, is the most overrun reference. Like, it's been happening for probably at least 10 years now, like culturally. So it's not like, oh, that's so fun. Like, we haven't done this at all. Like, that's so cool. It's like, it's been done to death. And so I don't know why they gave it so much time. Like, it was like, the references like never ended. Like, the entire intro was Jessel doing like a voiceover saying her friend group is a total Monet. Like, I think even the title card was in the Clueless logo font, and I'm just like, who cares? Like, what the hell? And then it's like, Jenna, of course, like was like, I have never even seen Clueless.
I mean, I'm going to say it now before I forget. Jenna's character work was some of the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. It was horrendous. Absolutely awful.
I was like, you could just wear the outfit. Like, I don't need to see your Dan Hedaya impression.
Oh my God. The passing out of these horrible legal forms, being on the phone constantly, just saying stuff like, let's make a deal, call my lawyer. That's not how you're going to win a case. I was like, this is so bad. I mean, everything about it was so bad. All of the quotes that they were pulling, all of the talk about it. I don't know why Salt Lake City, when they do the mob stuff, you and I are going, this is the best shit I've ever seen in my life. It's The Godfather. I love it. And then when they do it, it's like, get the hell off my TV screen. It's because this is not fun. And they're faking that this is fun. They're pretending like this is good. They're pretending like this is a fun cast filled with lighthearted moments. And it's all so forced. It's just complete garbage. It could not be more tonally wrong for this cast.
Right. It was almost entertaining that Jessel, even though this was her idea, that her outfits kind of sucked and like weren't even like, if anyone was going to go the extra mile and do like an exact replica, it should have been the birthday girl, and like everyone else did a way better job of pulling those references than she did. So again, Jessel remains perhaps the most entertaining in her ignorance, and she's just like living in her own world, which at least it's like authentic. She's like authentically clueless, for lack of a better word. But that's funny, but it's not enough.
Yeah. And then, they're like, Bryn is talking shit about this party the whole time. Yeah. Talking shit about Jessel. And it's like, it's not Jessel's fault that you all can't do anything good at her party. This is a perfect set. This is a perfect situation. She crafted something for you all to do anything here. It's not Jessel's fault that you all are so not fun, that you have to make fun of her outfit changes and how shitty her outfits are, and that you want to leave early and call it boring. It's like, you all made it boring. You're all so boring that you can't even make an alley-oop of a Clueless Party work.
Yeah. I feel like, so Brynn ends up leaving early because she says she had a sugared and bronzed tanning appointment, the latest that they have, which I'm like, I don't think the ones in LA are open that late. That's baller. But I'm like, I think she thought she was doing a Ramona where it's one of her character traits that she always has somewhere better to be. But that's like, again, a very organic thing where Ramona has no self-awareness whatsoever, and she's so rude that she just like always leaves every party because she has a date or there's somewhere she'd rather be, and it's very funny because she just like cannot help herself. Whereas with this, I'm like, okay, so you were hired to do a job where you're supposed to film with this group of people, and you decided to leave one of the like only events that we have to watch early because you said that you were going to get a spray tan.
Yeah. And you're bragging about it. You're bragging like, I'm too good for this party. This is what I'm going to do. Instead of trying to make this show better by actively doing anything interesting. But as we know, Brynn is incapable of making good television. It's the furthest thing from her mind. So she kind of blames everyone else for not being fun. And it leads to a lot of horrible moments from Brynn. Like Becca demanding Becca drink and saying, when are you going to drink? I really find it almost abhorrent to be like, you like drink because you're not fun. It's like, Brynn, no one else is fun on this cast. You're not fun. Do you think drinking makes you fun on this show? You're not better after having 6 beers or whatever the hell you drink. So why would you make Becca? Why are you making Becca like she's the target of your ire because she doesn't drink? You all are bad on this show. It's not Becca's fault.
She's like, you're boring. She like accuses Rebecca of drinking with other people, just not them, which I was like, is that a fourth wall break? Like, do you mean that she just doesn't want to drink on camera?
Yeah, I mean, it's I know we love the fun and like drinking your ass off. We enjoy that experience as well. But I also can understand why someone for their first time doesn't want to get shit faced or blackout drunk and say something horrible on a television show. I know it's going to lead into the narrative that Becca is drunk. But what I don't enjoy is that Brynn is constantly poking at her, being like, I'm giving you advice, you need to drink because you are flopping and no one else on the show is flopping except you.
Yeah. Did we already talk about because like half of the Bravo celebrities are in London, were in London like last week for that Hayu Fest or whatever. Jessel said something about that the finale or like cast trip of this season got cut short because I don't think she named names, but 2 people were feuding. So one person had to get a separate hotel and one person went home or something like that. And again, I'm like, you are paid to beef it out on the cast trip. Like, it's one thing if like it's like full Kelly Ben Simone where there was like a psychiatric hold on the horizon and they're like, we have to get her out of here. But everyone else on Earth, you're not allowed to leave.
Right. Yeah, right. Wait, something entertaining happened? And that's why you had to cancel the trip? Cut, stop. Get him out of the hotel room. Let's talk about, I think, there's so much that's involved in the Clueless Party. I don't know if we kind of already talked about the Sai scene. I mean, I just want to say before I get into the errand of it all, Sai's scene, I actually, I think I said it last week. I don't know. Sai is such, after the rebrand, after she realizes that whatever the fake persona she had last year wasn't working, I enjoy Sai a lot more. And this scene was absolutely beautiful. And like you said, the aunt is like absolute star in this scene.
Yeah.
She gives it her all. It's beautiful. Sai's children and her husband all come out and they decide to bury the ashes that were in Sai's closet. They decided to plant those ashes in the ground with a tree.
Yeah.
Right. And that it's sort of like this burial ceremony, and I was so touched by it. I mean, I thought that the aunt, like her impromptu speech was so beautiful when she said, she was like, should I get a shovel or should I just touch it with my hands? She goes, fuck it, I'm going to use my hands. And she just says her love, for her sister. I love you, Barbara. I miss you every day. It was like, it was beautiful. And I know that what we said about Sai is that she doesn't want to, like, she's not taking the opportunity. But I also I don't know, like, it's like, when it gets that real, like, and you're not sure if you're going to be able to handle it, I kind of give her a pass. Like, I know that we wish that she would have gone there and like really taken the scene, to heart and been real. But I also am just like, who knows, like what could have been unleashed, Like I give her a little bit of grace there when it's dealing with a parent who died,
Sure.
I think she did well enough. But what the aunt said was beautiful. And then they even have a little bit of the like comic relief where the aunt is saying, touching everyone, and then she's still got the ashes on her hands.
Ashes. Humor always hits.
Yeah, it's like, has there ever been anyone who's ever buried the ashes or done something sacred with the ashes of a loved one and it hasn't gotten all over the place or on all of their friends?
Every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was just a lot of like crap besides the Clueless Party. There was like Jenna did like a job thing, which I thought I wanted, but I mean it was fine. But like she apparently is she's the editor in chief at large for an online fashion magazine, The Coveteur. And it was just a little peek behind the curtain. She makes a joke about being a clown and everyone really thought that was so funny. I
think they just don't know what the hell, like, no, if Jenna said I went to a clown college and I performed as a clown in a carnival for a year, I don't think anyone would be that shocked. It's just like, I don't know anything about what you've done in the past.
Right. And then have they ever, Raquel visited Uba's apartment and it was revealed that Uba is a hobbyist artist.
Yeah.
Have they said that before?
Not that I know of. I thought that was interesting. That was a decent scene between Uba and Raquel. They kind of talk about what America means. Right. She goes, gold. I think it was like, I painted this like gold American flag because freedom is gold.
She said the American colors are blue, white, and red. And I'm like, I like that she just mixed up the order.
Yeah.
You can just, any colors, any order.
That was a decent scene. And then we start to get into multiple scenes, and I'll just go here now, where Aaron is planting the seeds where because Jenna had lunch with Sai about the Sai burial thing, that was proof that Aaron wanted to be done for good with Jenna as a close friend. So there's so many like layers of why this is bad, but I wanted to ask you, like, why did this seem so horrible in the grand scheme of all of the like contrived plots? Like, why did this land with such a thud?
Well, because I can't even think of what relationship they had before. Like,
so that's one thing. It's that we don't think that this is a real friendship. No one would have said you all are close friends. We heard you hung out once and that you have that Uber story that you keep spreading around. So yeah, it calls into question if any of these relationships are real, because no one would ever assume that Jenna and Aaron are close at all, because all of these relationships seem completely fake.
Right. And then, the way that she was just bringing it up to anyone that would listen when it was like not even relevant. It's just like, there's nothing to chew on. It's like, who cares? Like, you don't really like her that much. You don't not like her that much either. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but also why would the side sit down, be the impetus for it? You know that even with the non-fourth wall break, you know that Jenna just has to possibly have scenes with Sai. It's just going to happen. Sai has a scene with Jenna. It was a flashback, but it's like that is an obligation in this world. Right. You can't use that as evidence that everything you thought you knew about your relationship is done. And also, like, Aaron's okay with Sai. But she was so offended that Jenna and Sai sat down together, I guess because Sai had been talking shit, but it just calls into question like all of the relationships on this show.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's like a misunderstanding of the way to play the game, whereas like we're watching on Salt Lake, Heather and Bronwyn are playing the game. Like it's a little transparent what they're doing, but it's still entertaining. Whereas these women seem to have like a absolute misunderstanding of what makes housewives good.
Yeah, and they're almost, if this scene is any indication, they're getting worse at it. I
Yeah.
mean, this had no like reality texture to it. It was just the most blatant, like, I'm going to have conflict this episode, so please listen to me as this happens. And then the worst, most deflating thing at the end is that she just tells enough people to where at a party to where when Jenna has to come over and talk to her, and then they all go, we're going to let you two talk. And Aaron goes, well, this is awkward. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? You've told every single person around Jenna, and you're at a party with 20 people at it. Of course, this is the sit down that you craved more than anything.
Sure. She also seemingly gave Abe the green light to bring it up to Jenna, even though he was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, but Abe handles it so horribly too. He goes, I shouldn't have said that. That was horrible. Forget my words. And then Jenna does her character. She goes,
Right.
she goes, close that deal, Abe, or cancel that deal. Yeah, and then they sit down and they go, Jenna, it's like a classic miscommunication. Jenna goes, I don't call anybody. I'm working. We're not real friends, but she doesn't say that. I'll just know that I need to call you more. I don't call anybody. And Aaron goes, that's the perfect thing you've ever said to me. Let's end this right now. And it's over, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of get into like that, like Brynn is part of what fucked this up because she was spreading haterade between them. And then Aaron was like, yeah, I got the vibe that Brynn was jealous of me and Jenna's friendship. And they showed like footage of the reunion because they were sharing a dressing room, and Brynn kept popping in, like wanting to join the party. And then Brynn apparently started using Aaron's makeup artist, who Jenna also uses. So they were kind of trying to throw her under the bus, like she's a loser, and like wanted to.
I love that.
The two of them.
Yeah, I love that the only examples they have of this burgeoning friendship is from a reunion where they're contractually obligated to be together, and then that one Uber scene where her car broke down that they keep talking about. It's like there is no depth to any of these relationships at all. Brynn, I talk so much shit, and I don't want to be like too horrible, but like her rant against Sai, I thought was absolutely awful. I was like, didn't you both make up? Sai texted you an apology, and you left her on red, and you say, I need a written apology again. And then after they hugged it out in the Hamptons, she goes, I just have determined that Sai is a miserable troll that lives under the Brooklyn Bridge. And I was like, where the hell did this come from? What is happening here? Like, it's just all so unbelievable and bad and fake.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's rough. It's rough. It's rough stuff. I want to note that at the Clueless Party, Jessel's in her own world. She's like, look at this outfit I'm trying on. And they really talk about how many outfits she's trying on. Like, they really, it's completely belabored. But then Brynn does have a point where after she in an awful way tries to get Becca to drink, she does say, you're a boner kill or a buzzkill. I just think Becca is really boring. And then, unfortunately, the editors do play the tape, and it does seem like Becca's having a little bit of trouble navigating this party because they do this clip compilation, and Becca goes, just so you know, Uba, I have a pigeon toe. And Uba is just, like, says absolutely nothing. And then I think Becca goes again. They cut it, and then Becca goes, Uba, you need local honey. And then Uba is like, there's just no response. and then they cut to Becca going around the party telling these non sequiturs, I guess, if they have no context. And then she goes, I wasn't going to wear this headband because I thought it made my nose look big. And then you just watch everyone kind of just like doesn't respond to her. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can make the argument that Becca Minkoff might not know what to do here and is not being the most lively or fun on this show.
Right. Yeah. I think there was it at the Clueless Party also where Brynn, because she has to do it every episode, says that she's hot for Raquel's fiance and is like, she's the new Jenna. And then someone was like, she's the new Abe. Like, she just has to be like hitting on everyone at all times.
Damn, I didn't even notice you did that. I can't believe she brought that out. And then, Jenna's handing out these horrible props, some of the worst props in Bravo history. I'm sure those are going to be at the Bravo Clubhouse. JFL, Jenna fucking Lyons, is suing Jessel for defamation of Christmas. Remember? The Christmas lingerie? And then destruction of property, that dessert that I made with the cockroach from last episode. It was just like, I mean, whoa.
Brutal.
Rough. Brutal stuff. Oh, brutal. So let us know, RHONY fans, if you're watching RHONY, and what do you think? Are you just listening to Amy and I talk about it and not watching it? Or are you watching it and you say, Amy and Riley are really hard on this show, it's decent to fine? Or do you agree with us? You watch it, but you think it's dog shit like us. Where are Amy and I in the spectrum of opinions on RHONY? How can this stand? How can stuff like this, how can this be real?
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. What if there's a massive bombshell? Unexpected.
There's that pregnancy thing. One of them,
right.
Someone is pregnant and someone shouldn't have said that they're pregnant. But knowing how they handle this shit, it's going to be so bad. And then we have the Uba and Brynn thing, which I believe is the conflict you're talking about, that they couldn't be in the same hotel because we know that they are doing really badly for some reason, basically because Uba just, I think, doesn't like Brynn, and Brynn can't handle it. Yeah. So anyway, well, I mean, this one was rough, and it after there was no, I mean, it was not very good, obviously, this season, but this one was like, whoa, this is rough territory that we're in with RHONY. So.
Another week checked off the box, just waiting for something fun to happen. But we have OC to look forward to, which I think we're promised to be entertained by. Yeah,
I think for sure. We get London's not over yet. We still get the tail end of London. Yeah. So I think this will come out. You'll be enjoying your Friday. All of the Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. You'll have total TGIF vibes, and then I think Amy and I are going to drop a double-decker OC episode right on your head later on Friday if things work out to what we want to do. So do you want to close up shop this episode and say? Okay.
As always, rate and review. We love to read them. It helps us out. We are also on YouTube if you have forgotten. We are being recorded currently. You can see our beautiful faces and sometimes my cat walking across my computer. And we also have a Patreon where we are recapping Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning, which at this point is over 80 episodes because we're almost at the end of season 5 at this point, and it's great shit. We just did the newest one coming out next week is going to be the New Orleans Bachelorette weekend, which is one of the best episodes of all time, and we have a blast talking about it. So join us over there if you're so inclined. But thank you for listening.
Yeah, if you don't like us talking shit, like you're like, why are you watching something that sucks? It's like, yeah, that's true. Well, then go over to Patreon because we talk about something that we absolutely love, every minute of it, and our spirits are completely what's it called when spirits are doing good? Levied by the entertainment that we're watching. So head on over to Patreon if you love Turtle Time, and thank you again for listening to us as always. We love our Villa Rosa VIPs and Little Turtle Cuties, and we hope you enjoy this wonderful Thanksgiving season. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.